Dear learners, I am now going to discuss the second part of the topic, second part of the unit, theories of truth, correspondence, coherence, and pragmatic theory of truth. The second part basically deals with pragmatic theory of truth. After going through this unit, you will be able to describe the pragmatic theory of truth, discuss semantic Deplatonist and the disquotational theory of truth. In the previous part, dear learners, you have some idea about the concept of coherence and correspondence theory of truth. The correspondence theory, in a very brief sense, holds that there is a direct correspondence between judgment and reality. The coherence theory and the another theory of truth, that is coherence theory of truth, holds that a judgment is true if it coheres with our beliefs within a system. It is generally accepted by the idealist. Now, dear learners, let us learn the pragmatic theory of truth. The pragmatic theory considers workability or meaningfulness and utility or usefulness as the test of truth. So the pragmatic theory says that a judgment is true if it is workable or meaningful or useful. Realists support the correspondence and pragmatic theories of truth. Now, dear learners, pragmatism asserts that usefulness or workability is the test of truth. An idea is true. An idea is true if it works, if it leads to fruitful consequence. It is true. On the other hand, if it leads to unfruitful consequence, it will be false. As for instance, fire burns. This judgment is true if fire burns. On the other hand, the above mentioned judgment would be false if fire does not burn in experience. Therefore, the taste of truth is pragmatic usefulness, successful activity, fruitful consequence, or utility. The supporters of pragmatic theory are C.S. Peirce, William James, Sheila, and Dewey. Pragmatism is a method of philosophizing. It has been developed by C.S. Peirce and revived and formulated by William James as a theory of truth. Again, it has been further developed by John Dewey and Ferdinand Canning Scott Sheila. According to Peirce, pragmatism is not a philosophy, a metaphysics, or a theory of truth. It is not a solution of an answer to anything, but a technique to find solutions of a philosophical or scientific nature. Peirce holds that pragmatism as a method of philosophy deals with the clarification of the meaning of words, ideas, and concepts. Similarly, it is also a method of clarifying and determining the meaning of science. Meaning of science. Peirce, in this context, holds that all thought whatsoever is a sign and is mostly of the nature of language. The pragmatic method does not apply to all the various kinds of science and modes and purposes of communication. The aim of the method is to facilitate communication to an extent which finally determines the relevance and justification of the method. This aim shows us the critical nature of pragmatism. It directs us that words are being used in different ways or without meaning at all. Peirce says pragmatism will show that almost every proposition of ontological metaphysics is either meaningless or else absurd. Peirce also remarked that pragmatism solves no real problem. It only shows that supposed problems are not real problems. William James, in his book Pragmatism, states truth is a property of certain of our ideas. It means their agreement, as falsity means that their disagreement with reality. By the agreement of ideas, he doesn't mean that our ideas copy reality. It also doesn't mean that there is a fixed relation of correspondence between ideas and objects. Therefore, it cannot be said that ideas are true because they copy or correspond to reality. That is why it is clear that pragmatic theory goes against the correspondence theory of truth. The truth of ideas depends on verifiability. True ideas are those that we can assimilate, validate, corroborate, and verify. False ideas are those that we cannot. Ideas and judgments are not true until they are verified by their fruitful consequences. When they lead to successful activities, they are true. An idea is not true by itself. This means that truth of an idea is constituted by verifiability. William James, in his book Essays in Pragmatism, says true ideas are those that we assimilate, validate, corroborate, and verify. False ideas are those that we cannot. Schiller points out that the question of truth is primarily a practical one. Our success in practical life depends on our ability to predict and control the course of events in the world. We want to discover the truth. The taste of truth depends on our ability to predict and control the course of events in the world. Predictions which are formally valid but practically inapplicable are only truth claims. Truth claims are not considered as truths, so predictions become true only when they turn to success. Here we find the distinction between positive value of successful prediction and negative value of unsuccessful prediction. According to Dewey, truth or knowledge is the outcome of adequate enquiry. Knowledge is related to enquiry as a product of the operations by which it is produced. Enquiry is a process of investigation which is evoked by doubtful situation. It begins in doubt and proceeds to remove doubt through proper investigation. A proposition is true means it is warranted by competent and controlled enquiry. Dewey prefers to use the words warranted assertability for knowledge or truth. The pragmatic theory has been criticized by critics. According to them, pragmatic theory reduces the true to be useful and obliterates the distinction between the truth and error. It is a matter of common experience that what is not useful and what is false may sometimes be useful for certain purposes. Again, the pragmatic theory makes truth appear as subjective. If the test of truth is utility or usefulness, then the truth will depend on people's interest. That is why it is clear that pragmatic theory cannot provide us objective test of truth. So it can be said that pragmatic theory is not satisfactory. Now, dear learners, there are some additional theories of truth. There are some important theories of truth besides the correspondence, coherence, and pragmatic theory of truth. There are semantic theory of truth, deflectionary theory of truth, and disquotational theory of truth. Now, dear learners, now we are dealing with the first one, that is the semantic theory of truth. This theory of truth originates with the mathematician and logician Alfred Tarski. It shows that the sentence like Arberg's amble is true if and only if Arberg's amble. It holds that it holds the symbolic form of all true sentences such as P is true if and only if P. Tarski shows that all true sentences must logically follow from the adequate definition in and if we're dealing with a finite language. We need all the associated T sentences for a complete definition of truth. Tarski has dealt with the definition of truth of formal languages which are infinite. Apart from this, Tarski defined truth in terms of satisfaction. He insisted on the definition of truth for formal languages that implied the T sentences. It can be viewed that both the correspondence theories and deflatonists follow the Tarski's theory of truth. Correspondence theory holds a word-word relationship and it leads to a satisfaction when we can make a compatible relationship between a word and its objects referred to. It confirms that correspondence is no more mysterious than the semantic relation between predicates and names and their reference. Now, dear learners, another important theory, that is the Platonist theory of truth. The Platonist theory holds that the substantive theories like the correspondence and the coherence theory are not satisfactory. There is no substantive property of truth. Frank Ramsey in this context holds that truth is redundant. It is true that Caesar was murdered, means no more than that Caesar was murdered. Truth is less easily eliminated from the generalizations like everything Socrates says is true. Ramsay agrees with the view. Here the word true disappears, and any effort to investigate the nature of truth also disappears. The pro-sentential theory of truth, which is considered a sophisticated version of the theory of truth, views that the world is the world true is not even a genuine predicate but a mere component of pro sentences. If I say that is true in response to a claim of yours, then I have produced not a new sentence but pro sentences by going back to the original sentence, just as pronouns he oblique she are used in lieu of the nouns like Montu, Kalpana, etc. So the word true is no longer used as a discrete property by denoting predicate. P.F. Strawson asserts that we use the word true not to mention a property but to perform speech acts such as endorsing, agreeing, and conceding. Now, dear learners, there is another important theory of truth, that is disquotational theory of truth. The disquotational theory of truth, which is championed by W. V. Quine and further developed and defended by Field, holds that a sentence is true due to its indirect way of saying the sentence itself. That is why the word true is not directly related to the sentence like penguin waddles, which is the Tarskian sentence. Penguin waddles is true if and only if penguin waddles. And the totality of these sentences tells the whole story about truth. This raises the question whether we can talk about the truth of a sentence without using truth predicate in case of direct talk about the world. The disquotationalist will reply by pointing to the general form P or not P is true. In this case, truth predicate can be eliminated from sentences in order to determine truth or falsity of sentences only if we could produce an infinite conjunction of sentences or the form P or not P. Penguin waddles or penguin does not waddle, and Arbug amble or Arbug do not amble. Therefore, this theory of truth views that truth does not denote a property or a relation, it is a logical device. Now, dear learners, this is all about the pragmatic theory of truth or another additional some theory of truth which have been discussed in this part. Now we have to discuss some very basic points in this unit. According to pragmatism, usefulness or workability is the taste of truth. An idea is truth if it works, if it leads to fruitful consequence, it is true. On the other hand, if it leads to unfruitful consequence, it will be false. The supporters of pragmatism are Dewey, James, Schiller, etc. The semantic theory of truth originates in the ideas of Alfred Tarski. The symbolic form of the sentence semantic theory of truth is P is true if and only if P. The truth of a sentence logically follows from the sentences. Each T sentence is partially true because it concerns with finite language. Therefore, Tarski is concerned with formal languages which are linked with infinite. The Neoplatonist theory of truth holds that truth is redundant. Truth is not even a genuine predicate but a mere component of prose sentences. The disquotationalist theory of truth holds that truth is not directly related to the sentences. Rather, it is indirectly related to the sentence itself. This theory holds that truth does not denote a property, rather, it is a logical device. Dear learners, so in order to know about this part in a very comprehensive way, or in order to know this unit in a very simplified manner, you have to read some books. That is S.C. Chatterjee's book, The Problems of Philosophy, Thomas Patrick's book, Introduction to Philosophy, D.M. Datta's book, Chief Currents of Contemporary Philosophy, J. Hosper's book, An Introduction to Philosophical Analysis. Dear learners, this is all about the second part of the video of the unit Theories of Truth, Correspondence, Coherence, and Pragmatic Theory of Truth. Thank you.